So then the next P is proprietary. Do you have any questions so far?
No, so far that's great. That's a great sort of setup that you have there on the 6 Ps. So yeah, if you give us the rest of those,
Okay.
I think that would be great.
So proprietary is the next one. Proprietary is the biggest value driver. Proprietary will increase your multiple. So here's how businesses are evaluated. Businesses are typically evaluated a multiple of EBITDA. EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization.
Yeah.
The multiple can be 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. It's hard to get past 5 times multiple unless you have a lot of IP, intellectual property, unless you have a lot of proprietary synergies. So the next P is proprietary. This is the highest value driver you can possibly have. All right. So there's 6 pillars to proprietary.
Yeah.
So get ready.
Yeah.
Fasten your seatbelt. So number 1 is branding. How well branded are you?
Yeah.
How well branded are you? Huge, right? So branding is important. As long I can sell your company for a lot of money as long as your brand is still relevant in the mind of the consumer. Is anybody going to pay anything for the Blockbuster brand?
Yeah.
No, because Blockbuster went bust. They went belly up. Nobody wants to buy that brand. So nobody's going to pay for Blockbuster. However, the largest brand in the world is guess who? You know? Apple. You're right. Apple is worth $189 billion. That's just for the brand. That's not including cash flow, inventory, real estate, or anything else. That's just a brand. So build your brand. You sell your business for a lot of money. Also, trademarks are very important in the USA. I'm not sure about London.
Yeah.
But in the USA, businesses will start a business. Let's say they start a business in New York. And they go and get a state trademark, but they never got the federal trademark. They never looked in the federal database to make sure it's available. So a business owner could be operating for years and years and years, and all of a sudden receive a letter in the mail that says, hey, you have to stop using this name because this is trademark infringement on this person who owns the federal trademark. And you can hire an attorney and spend thousands upon thousands of dollars, but you're going to probably lose.
Yeah.
And you have to start your brand name all over again. So in the U.S., make sure you protect and get your federal trademark on your company name, your slogan, your podcast.
Yeah.
My book I got registered. So you got to make sure you protect your trademarks. Very important. And then patents are very important too. Like have you ever watched Shark Tank? Do they have Shark Tank in London?
Yes, I do actually. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So what's the question they always ask? Every shark always asks the same question to the investors. Do you have a patent, right? Do you have a patent on this? Do you have a patent on this? So patents are very valuable. Get your product patented. It will make you a lot more money to sell of your business. Plus, it will protect your IP. And then the other thing that's valuable is contracts, client contracts, distribution contracts, manufacturing contracts, vending contracts. The most valuable are client contracts. Let's say you're a landscaper and you have, 500 clients, you have 500 contracts. Well, that's very valuable to a buyer because buyers want to buy recurring revenue. They want to buy residual income. They want to buy a business that has cash flow coming in.
Yeah.
However, there's one caveat to this, Alex. In the United States, 99.9% of all sales are asset sales, not stock sales. If the contract doesn't have the 2-sentence transferability clause, then it could cause your deal to fall apart. So go get that 2-sentence transferability clause.
Yeah.
And so moving right along, the other thing that's important and proprietary is databases.
Yeah.
Databases are huge. They can make you a lot of money as long as your clients can be repurposed and retargeted. You could be losing money in your company and still sell because of your database. Facebook paid $19 billion for WhatsApp, and WhatsApp was hemorrhaging money. So build your database. The other thing that's important too is what I call IP real estate. IP real estate is, let's say you have a skincare line.
Yeah.
And a skincare line. Skincare, you sell skincare. And let's say that Oprah Winfrey has endorsed your product and you are on her favorite things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a buyer, a strategic, a competitor will pay you a lot of money for that because they want that Oprah Winfrey endorsement, especially a strategic who has similar products. If they think they could get in there and get Oprah to endorse their products too, they'll pay huge money for that. Let's say that you manufacture furniture, home furniture, and you're number one on Wayfair. Huge. Yeah. Same thing with Amazon or Etsy. If you're number one or corner of the market on Amazon or Etsy or any of these online platforms, that is a huge value driver.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's move on to the fifth P, which is patrons. Patrons is your customer base, your clients. And in USA, it's usually most businesses follow what we call the golden rule, the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients.
Yeah.
Well, if you lose a couple of clients, that can literally put you out of business. So you want customer diversification instead of customer concentration, right?
Yeah.
And then if you've been in business for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, your clients could be aging out.
Yeah.
So anyway, so moving on, last P, most important P to all entrepreneurs and probably all your listeners is profits. We're all in this business to make a profit. However, Alex, profits is never the problem. It's always a symptom of not running on one of the other 5 Ps. You know, clients will come to me and say, Michelle, I have a profit problem. I'm like, no, you have a people problem. You have the right people. Or you have a process problem. Or you haven't protected your proprietary. Yeah. So profits is never the problem. It's a symptom.
The symptoms. Wow. Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
I wanted to just go through. We're gonna talk about your book, Exit Rich, but just talk about some of the. I mean, you've got here the 10 biggest profit mistakes that people make, and also how people can actually maximize the valuations on their companies, and creating that bidding war as well. Amongst buyers who are looking to buy your business. So just briefly talk us through those 3 things, like the biggest mistakes, profit mistakes people are making, how we can maximize those values and create this bidding war. And then we get to talk about your book.
Sure. So a lot of the mistakes I've already mentioned, and I don't know if it really registered with anyone. Yeah. I've already mentioned a lot of profit mistakes. Number one, not planning your exit from the beginning. Not planning your exit from the beginning is a huge profit mistake. It is huge. It is a difference between selling for millions or ending up with nothing and selling for pennies on a dollar. So that's number one. Number two, I took you all through the 6 Ps. Not having the right people in place is a big profit mistake, because if your business is tied to you and you're the owner and I'm trying to sell the business and it won't function without you, that's a huge profit mistake. Buyers will walk away from you all day long because you have a job, not a business. Also, if you haven't tied up your key management and your key employees with a non-compete, that's a big profit mistake too, because business owners will walk away. If you don't have a non-compete or can't get a non-compete on your key employees, buyers get scared and they're very fearful that those employees are going to leave and compete against them. Another big profit mistake that we talked about is products. Being in the same industry too long and not innovating. Here's a huge profit mistake. In the United States, when I wrote my first book, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth, in 2013, I did the research and learned that 95% of all startups will go out of business. So those businesses, 1 to 5 years, were in great, great, great risk of going out of business, right? But when I wrote Exit Rich in 2019, 2020, I did the same research and learned that only 30% of startups will go out of business. A whopping 70% of businesses, and this is out of 27.6 million companies, the 70% of businesses that have been in business 10 years or longer are going out of business now. It is flip-flopped. Yeah. So why is that? Because it used to be, oh my gosh, you've been in business over 5 years, you're golden. You've been in business over 10 years, you can write your ticket to retirement, right? But not anymore. You're in business 10 years, you got a 70% chance of dropping out of business. So the number one reason for that is lack of aim. Aim is always innovate and market. Always innovate and market. Business owners stop innovating. So that's where in their product, they become complacent. They stopped innovating. That's what Blockbuster did. Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix and they didn't, and they did nothing to innovate. And now they're out of business. So you have to innovate. Always innovate. Otherwise, that's what Amazon did. Yeah. Amazon innovated. You got to innovate. Otherwise, you'd be out of business. That is a huge profit mistake, is not innovating. The other big mistake that business owners make, is we already kind of talked about this, is the profit mistake is not protecting their IP, not getting a federal trademark. That's a huge profit mistake, because think about this. If you've been in business 20 years and you don't have a federal trademark, and all of a sudden you get this letter in the mail and you got to start over, that's a huge profit mistake, because branding is everything. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. The other profit mistakes in financials are not knowing your numbers, not knowing your KPIs, key performance indicators. You got to know your numbers. So many business owners have no clue what they're making. Plus, Alex, I've been in this industry for 20 years, done thousands of transactions. I can't tell you the number of times that I've witnessed embezzlement. So business owners put somebody in charge, but they don't put any checks and balances. They don't inspect what they expect. They don't trust, but they trust, but they don't verify. And people are robbing them blind. The person you put in as a person who wants your money is the one that's actually stealing your money. So that's a huge profit mistake. Okay. Another one is not having a transferability language in your contracts. Huge profit mistake. Also, if you're in manufacturing, dealing with a manufacturing plant in China, but not having any backup plan. Like when COVID happened and China shut down, that hurt a lot of businesses in the U.S. that are manufacturing in China. You always need a backup plan. You always need plan B, plan C, plan D. You always need to diversify. You should never have one manufacturing plant. Huge profit mistake. There are companies who are practically out of business because they couldn't get products from China. I mean, it's like computers now. Computers have went way up in price because of trying to get computers from China.
Wow. So I guess, that's a lot of once you can sort of look to minimize those mistakes, that's where you create your maximum valuations for your businesses and when it comes to selling.
Yeah, and it's not about minimizing the mistakes. It's about getting exit rich and following my blueprint. Because if you follow my blueprint, you don't have to minimize the mistakes. You need to just build your business to run on all 6 Ps, and then you won't have mistakes.
Absolutely. So creating that bidding war between our buyers, and what's the aside to looking at all these 6 Ps and everything else, just before we get into exit reach, how do you create that urgency amongst buyers and create that bidding war that, I want to get this business?
So it's very hard for business owners to go out and create their own bidding war, right? Because it's like performing. It's like if you need a heart surgery. Are you going to cut on your chest, rip your chest open, pull your heart out, and operate on your own heart? No. You shouldn't be selling your own business either. So it's very difficult, probably impossible, to create a bidding war on your own business. You really have to have an expert who's done it numerous times, like us. And then the way that we create bidding wars is we have over 28,000 buyers. And there's 5 different types of buyers. So we know all 5 types of buyers. We know what they're looking for. We know the synergies that they want to buy. And then when we evaluate our business owner's business and really evaluate it based upon the 6 Ps, then we know what those synergies are. Plus, we can work with our owner to try to tweak those Ps to make sure that they have those synergies. So it's all about knowing what buyers are going to buy what synergies, and then making sure that owner has those synergies. So like the contracts, buyers will pay a lot of money for contracts. Also, the higher the EBITDA, the more businesses we will have for that business. So if you have an EBITDA of $1 million and up, then that creates a whole different threshold of buyers, a whole different echelon of buyers, because there are more buyers for good businesses than there are good businesses to buy. So when we get businesses over $1 million in EBITDA, we have 500, we'll have 200, 300, 400, 500 buyers for that one business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really important to work with an advisor that has lots of buyers, that knows those synergies that the buyer is looking for, and it can identify those synergies that the business owner has. And then we bring those buyers to the table. Then we start getting LOIs, and then we start, getting the buyers to pay more. I mean, we once appraised a business that was an oil manufacturing business, and it appraised for a $9.8 million range. We have 550 buyers. We had 12 LOIs. We had a strategic who had a similar product and service, but different. And my seller had customer concentration. They had 65% of their revenue tied up with BP. They had a contract with BP, but guess what? That contract was not transferable. But my buyer wanted that contract because my buyer said, we've been trying to get in BP for years with our products and services and never been able to break through. If we buy this company, we have an immediate in to BP to get all other products and services. So that's a synergistic fit. So it takes a lot of expertise and skill set for an advisor to know what synergies a buyer is looking for and what they're willing to pay more for. And not only that, but we look at economies of scale. So we look at what our buyer has and say, okay, if our buyer is buying a manufacturing business and has, and our buyer, our seller owns a manufacturing business, and our buyer's looking to buy a manufacturing business because they already have one, but they have distribution centers everywhere throughout the United States. That's going to cut distribution for the company that they're buying, which will increase their EBITDA significantly. So a lot of times a strategic or a competitor can buy a business, and because of economy of scales and because of their current operating system, they can increase EBITDA dramatically by cutting overhead. So they can buy it. So if a company has $2 million in EBITDA, it can be very easy for a strategic or a competitor to go in and say, I can take this company to $3 million in EBITDA like that because I don't need this distribution, I don't need this operation, I don't need this, I don't need that. So a business owner can't do that on their own. You really need an advisor to help you create that bidding war.
Absolutely. So within that setup, do you actually help businesses as well who, for example, come to you and you do their appraisal and look at their numbers and you can see the potential, but they are not yet there? Do you sort of give them a plan to say, look, if you go out, look at these 6 P's, look at this, and then come back maybe after a year or a couple of years?
I do. There's different ways I work with clients. It just depends upon the client. It depends upon what their objectives are. I do definitely tell them to go get the book Exit Rich. It is a blueprint. But and then we do an evaluation because you got to know where you're starting from. It's shocking to me how many business owners have no idea what their business is worth. Shocking. So we got to start with a business. We got to start with an evaluation. Then we help our clients determine, what they want to sell their business for, and then we evaluate their 6 P's and tell them what to go work on, and then we tell them come back to us.
Perfect. Now, talk us through Exit Rich.